Welcome to Void Realities, a place where your restless mind can finally soften, where science becomes a gentle story told beneath the quiet of night. Tonight, we follow the hidden river inside you, a molecule called serotonin, the quiet messenger that shapes the way you feel, the way you rest, the way you dream. As you listen, let your body grow heavy, your thoughts loosen, and your breath find its natural rhythm. This is not a lecture, it is a journey, a bedtime exploration meant to calm, to comfort, to ease you into sleep. So close your eyes if you wish, and let us drift together into the story of serotonin, the reason you feel the way you feel. Serotonin. The reason you feel the way you feel your mind is never truly silent. Even in stillness, there are quiet ripples, patterns of movement, and invisible messengers shaping how you feel. One of these messengers is serotonin. It does not shout, it does not demand attention, and yet it has been guiding your moods, your sense of peace, and even your sleep for as long as you have lived. You may imagine serotonin as a soft river flowing through the hidden valleys of your brain. This river does not rise like a storm. It moves steadily, smoothing the edges of thought, carrying signals from one place to another. Without it, your emotional landscape would feel harsher, jagged, less forgiving. With it, there is flow, a sense of continuity that lets your mind rest, even in moments of difficulty. Every thought you hold, every quiet shift in mood, is influenced by this chemical tide. When you feel calm or when you sink into rest at night, serotonin has been there, guiding your body's rhythms. It is not alone, of course. Your brain is an orchestra of messengers. But serotonin is one of the players whose notes create harmony in the background. You don't often notice it because its work is gentle. It does not create sudden bursts of joy or sharp jolts of alertness. Rather, it steadies, balances, and anchors you to a sense of safety. Think of how a gentle hand on a swinging pendulum can slow its wild arcs, helping it settle into a quieter rhythm. Serotonin is that hand, invisible but present, easing your emotional pendulum into a calmer swing. This is why scientists often describe it as a regulator, a balancing presence that prevents chaos within your nervous system. In the soft spaces between waking and sleeping, serotonin becomes even more important. As daylight fades, it helps signal your body to prepare for rest. Later in darkness, it transforms into melatonin, the hormone that helps guide you into sleep. The calming drowsiness you feel as your eyes grow heavy is a gift of this transformation. In this way, serotonin is like the twilight, not the bright sun itself, not the deep night, but the gentle in-between that prepares you for rest. This messenger is also deeply connected to your sense of contentment, not the excitement of sudden pleasure, but the quiet satisfaction of a safe moment. Imagine the way you feel when you breathe deeply under a tree's shade, or when you sit quietly with someone you trust. There is no surge, no sharp thrill. Instead, there is ease, a softening of your inner edges. That ease is serotonin at work, weaving calm into your nervous system. What is remarkable is how little you have to think about it. Serotonin is constantly at work without your conscious control, adjusting levels in different parts of your brain, responding to your body, your surroundings, even your memories. Its presence reminds you that much of what makes you feel whole is hidden, moving silently beneath awareness. If you were to look closely, you would find that serotonin is not stored in one place, but scattered throughout different regions of your brain and body. It touches circuits that influence memory, mood, appetite, even how you perceive pain. Its reach is wide, like threads of light passing through a tapestry. And though these threads are invisible, they hold your inner world together in ways you often take for granted. You may never sense serotonin directly. You cannot touch it, or see it, or taste it. Yet you live with its influence every day. It is the difference between restlessness and calm, between tension and release. It is one of the reasons you can feel joy in a quiet moment or find balance after a wave of stress. As you breathe slowly now, you might imagine this messenger flowing through you, not as something separate, but as part of your being. It is within you, shaping the way your mind experiences the world. You're not just a thinker of thoughts, but a landscape of chemistry where molecules like serotonin write the poetry of your emotions. And just as every river has a source, so too does serotonin. It begins not only in the brain, but also in the hidden places of the body, born from something you eat, transformed into something you feel. The story of this molecule extends beyond neurons, into the deeper corridors of your biology. Even now, as you drift into this reflection, you might wonder, where does this messenger truly come from, and how does it travel so quietly from darkness into light? The quiet messenger begins its journey long before it reaches your thoughts, born from food, from chemistry, from the quiet work of your body. To follow serotonin's story, you must trace it back to its origins, where darkness becomes light and where the journey begins. The story of serotonin begins in places you may not expect, not in the glowing sparks of the brain, but in the quiet shadows of your body, where food is broken down and turned into energy. Here, in the darkness of your gut, an essential amino acid is waiting, tryptophan. It comes to you through simple things, a handful of seeds, a piece of fish, a slice of bread. Ordinary meals become the raw material for extraordinary feelings. Tryptophan itself is silent. It carries no mood, no emotion. But within your body, it is given a path. Step by step it transforms as enzymes patiently reshape it, turning food into chemistry and chemistry into the possibility of feeling. From this quiet transformation, serotonin is born. It is almost like watching night turn slowly into morning. At first, there is nothing but shadow, tryptophan waiting, invisible in the dark. Then comes the faintest glow as it changes into intermediate forms. Finally, the horizon breaks open and serotonin emerges like light carried forward from darkness. This is the unseen sunrise happening within you every single day. Most of this creation does not take place inside the brain at all. In fact, most of your serotonin is produced in the lining of your gut. There, special cells weave it together and release it, letting it flow into the bloodstream. Only a small portion is created within the brain itself, yet that small portion is enough to change how you think, how you rest, and how you see the world. There is something humbling in this truth. The way you feel is not just the product of thoughts, but of the meals you eat, the light you stand beneath, and the subtle transformations happening in silence. You are not separate from your body. Your mind is fed by your flesh, carried by your blood, and shaped by what begins in darkness. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of dawn. You can feel the cool air, the slow brightening of the sky. The warmth of the sun has not yet touched you, but the promise is there. Serotonin, born from tryptophan, is like this moment, the soft arrival of a day within your body, long before you notice the change. The journey of serotonin is also a story of movement. It does not remain where it was made. Instead, it travels along pathways, passing through cells and synapses, carried by your body's currents. In the brain, it becomes a messenger, bridging the space between neurons. Each time a thought softens, each time calmness rises. Serotonin has completed another step of this journey. Yet this process is delicate. If your body lacks tryptophan, serotonin cannot be made in the way it should. If the pathways are interrupted, the messages falter. This is why nutrition and rhythm, sleep, light, food, matter so deeply. The balance of chemistry in your body is not rigid. It is a living dance, one that can be tipped gently toward harmony or imbalance. And still, most of the time, you need not think of it. The transformation unfolds whether or not you are aware. Each day, each night, your body quietly creates the molecule that steadies your mood, turning the simplest of beginnings, a grain, a fruit, a sip of milk, into a foundation for your sense of self. Serotonin, then, is not just a chemical. It is a bridge. It connects the outer world you taste, smell, and touch with the inner world you feel and dream. It takes what comes from outside and carries it inward until it becomes something you live as emotion. As you rest now, it is worth noticing how deeply you are shaped by what seems invisible. Food becomes tryptophan, tryptophan becomes serotonin, serotonin becomes calm, and calm becomes part of your story. The journey is still only beginning, because most of this serotonin does not remain in the brain at all. It lingers in abundance within the gut, where another story unfolds, one that reveals how your digestion and your emotions are far more connected than they seem. The river of serotonin begins in the quiet dark of your gut, and there it lingers, shaped by trillions of unseen companions. To understand the depth of its influence, you must listen to the hidden conversation between your gut and your mind. You might think of the brain as the center of all your emotions, the place where every feeling is born. Yet most of your serotonin, almost 90%, is not in your brain at all. It resides in your gut, a long, winding system where food is digested, where nutrients are absorbed, and where trillions of tiny organisms live alongside you. This place is not silent. Though you cannot hear it, there is an ongoing dialogue happening within you. Your gut sends signals to your brain, and your brain answers back. They speak not in words, but in chemistry. Molecules carried by the bloodstream, impulses traveling along nerves, patterns of hormones released at the right time. Scientists call this link the gut-brain axis. You can think of it as a long telephone line stretched between two distant towns, constantly buzzing with messages, and serotonin is one of the most important of these messages. Each time your gut creates serotonin, it shapes not only digestion, but also mood. When the levels shift, your brain senses the change. This is why a troubled stomach can feel like a troubled mind, and why stress in your thoughts can ripple downward, knotting your belly. The two are not separate worlds, but reflections of one another, bound by invisible threads. Consider for a moment the trillions of microbes living inside your gut. Bacteria, fungi, tiny organisms so small you cannot see them, and yet so numerous they outnumber your body's own cells. These microbes are not passive passengers. They participate in your life. They help break down food, produce vitamins, and influence the balance of chemicals, including serotonin. When they thrive, you often feel steadier, calmer, more resilient. When their balance is disturbed by stress, illness, or poor diet, your emotions may wobble too. It is as if these microbes are musicians in your inner orchestra, playing notes that shape the symphony of your mood. Think of the last time you felt uneasy before an important conversation. Your stomach may have tightened, your appetite may have faded. That was your brain whispering to your gut, or recall the comfort of a warm meal shared slowly when your body softened and your mood brightened. That was your gut whispering back. The conversation is constant, whether you notice it or not. Even the nerves that carry messages between these two worlds are remarkable. A vast highway called the vagus nerve stretches from brain to belly, carrying signals in both directions. Like a gentle courier, it delivers information about hunger, fullness, calm, or distress. Much of what you call intuition, that feeling in your gut, may be the result of this ancient line of communication. And so, serotonin in the gut does more than regulate digestion. It becomes a storyteller. It shapes how you sense the world, how you process emotions, how you move between states of rest and alertness. You cannot separate the health of your gut from the health of your mind, because the two are constantly speaking through this quiet language. This is why practices that nourish the body, Eating balanced foods, breathing deeply, resting well, can ripple into the mind. A meal rich in variety does not only feed your stomach, it gives raw material to the microbes that help sustain serotonin. A steady breath not only calms your chest, it softens the signals flowing along the vagus nerve. The smallest acts of care become messages that echo across this axis. As you reflect on this, you may sense how your body and mind are less like two separate entities and more like two hands joined together, always in touch, always responsive to one another. The conversation never ends. And yet, serotonin's influence is not limited to gut and brain alone. It stretches further into the very circuits of your nervous system, shaping the architecture of thought, memory, and mood. To follow its path is to step into the hidden structures of your mind itself. The conversation between gut and brain is only one part of serotonin's story. From these messages, it rises into the architecture of the mind, tuning circuits like strings and shaping the very design of your moods. Inside your brain, there is a constant hum, an intricate web of connections where billions of neurons exchange signals every second. Each neuron is like a note in a vast composition, and together they create the music of your mind. But music without balance can become noise, and that is where serotonin enters, not as the melody itself, but as the hand that keeps the instruments in tune. Serotonin does not decide what you think. Instead, it adjusts the strength and rhythm of signals between neurons, softening some, amplifying others, weaving harmony out of complexity. Imagine a pianist pressing down on keys, too softly and the song loses shape, too harshly and it becomes overwhelming. Serotonin is like the subtle pressure of the fingers, guiding the song into balance. One of serotonin's most profound roles is in stabilizing mood. It is not a surge of joy, not the thrill of dopamine or the urgency of adrenaline. Instead, it is the background steadiness that allows joy to linger, sadness to soften, and calm to return after storms. Without it, emotions can swing too widely, as though the strings of your inner instrument were pulled too tight or left too slack. It also touches sleep, shaping the rhythm of when you rest and when you wake. As day turns to night, serotonin helps signal your body to prepare for stillness. Later, it becomes melatonin, guiding you deeper into sleep. In this way, serotonin is both architect and builder, laying the foundation for rest, then transforming into the very walls of your night. Your appetite, too, is influenced by serotonin's design. When levels are steady, you can listen more clearly to your body's natural cues, when to eat, when to pause. When levels shift, hunger and satiety may feel confused, like mismatched notes. This is why your mood and your eating patterns often reflect one another. A stressful day may leave you craving more or nothing at all. Both body and mind are responding to the same quiet architect. Even memory and learning are shaped by serotonin's gentle influence. In the hippocampus, a region central to remembering, serotonin helps new connections form. It is as if it opens windows, letting light into the rooms where experiences are stored. With this light, the brain can arrange, connect, and make sense of the countless impressions you gather each day. Yet serotonin's influence is not uniform everywhere. In some regions of the brain, it calms. In others, it excites. It is not a single lever pulled in one direction, but many subtle adjustments across different circuits. This complexity is why the architecture of mood is not simple. It is not a house with walls, but more like a living cathedral, always shifting, built of light, shadow, and sound. When serotonin is in balance, this cathedral feels open and expansive. Thoughts flow easily, emotions settle, and you feel at home within yourself. But when balance falters, the structure can seem unsteady. Anxiety can echo in its chambers, or sadness can dim its light. Scientists have long studied these imbalances, searching for ways to restore harmony through medicines, therapies, or changes in daily rhythm. Still, the beauty of serotonin's architecture is that it is alive. It responds to the smallest choices: a walk in sunlight, a moment of laughter, a meal shared slowly. Each of these acts sends signals that ripple through your circuits, reminding the architecture of its design. You do not need to command it, you only need to nourish it, and it will rebuild. As you rest tonight, you may imagine your brain as a great hall filled with countless strings. Serotonin is the unseen hand, tuning and retuning, creating harmony from potential chaos. Every calm breath, every softened thought is a chord falling into place. And yet, this harmony is fragile. Just as a hall can fall into silence when strings break, so too can the mind stumble when serotonin runs low. To understand the full story of this molecule, you must step into the shadows, where imbalances whisper and where the architecture begins to tremble. When the architecture is steady, you feel grounded and whole. But when the quiet messenger falters, shadows grow longer and the structure of mood begins to shake. It is here, in imbalance, that the story turns toward darker echoes. Every architecture has its cracks. Even the strongest cathedral of the mind can tremble when its foundations weaken. When serotonin runs low, the quiet harmony it once wove can begin to unravel. The river that once flowed steadily grows shallow, and in its absence, shadows emerge. Low serotonin does not announce itself with clarity. It seeps in slowly, like fog rolling into a valley. You may first notice it as a heaviness, a weight pressing on thoughts that once felt light. Colors may seem muted, pleasures dulled. Sleep may slip away in restless hours, and anxious currents may stir where once there was calm. Scientists have long observed these patterns. Low serotonin has been linked with depression, anxiety, and difficulties with sleep. Yet it is not a simple equation. Serotonin is not the only player in mood, and its absence does not guarantee despair. Still, when the river runs low, the balance of the mind is more fragile, and shadows find more room to grow. Imagine a symphony with too many instruments missing. The music becomes thin, fragile, and hollow. This is what happens when serotonin's influence weakens. Circuits once tuned into balance begin to lose rhythm. Thoughts repeat, emotions intensify, and quiet calm is harder to find. In depression, this imbalance can feel like a deep gray cloud stretching across every corner of the mind. Even small tasks feel heavy. It is not laziness nor weakness, but chemistry tilting toward imbalance. Serotonin, one of the steadying notes, has dimmed. In anxiety, the imbalance can feel like wires pulled too tight, vibrating endlessly without rest. The absence of serotonin's gentle hand makes the pendulum swing wider, the body tense, the breath shallow. A single thought can echo like thunder, refusing to fade. And in sleeplessness, serotonin's failure to convert smoothly into melatonin leaves the night unsettled. Instead of the slow drift into dreams, the mind circles restlessly, like a bird unable to land. Hours pass, and the architecture of rest collapses into fatigue. Yet even in these shadows, there are ways light returns. Science has sought to restore serotonin's balance for decades. Medicines called SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, are one of the tools. They work not by creating serotonin, but by letting the brain use more of what is already there, allowing the river to flow more freely between cells. For many, this restores a measure of calm, rebuilding the architecture piece by piece. But medicine is not the only path. Serotonin responds to light itself. Sunlight striking your skin begins a cascade, reminding your body to adjust, to lift, to align its rhythms. This is why bright mornings can feel healing, why walks under an open sky bring relief. The body listens to light, and serotonin answers. Movement also matters. Exercise, gentle or strong, shifts chemistry, encouraging serotonin's flow. A walk, a stretch, even slow breathing. Each movement is a reminder to the body that balance can be rebuilt. Food, too, plays its part, as tryptophan from the simplest meals continues to be the seed of serotonin. And perhaps most profound of all is connection, a shared laugh, a comforting touch, a conversation that eases loneliness. Each of these experiences alters chemistry. Serotonin rises when you feel safe with another, when trust replaces isolation. The molecule is not separate from human connection. It is part of how connection becomes embodied. Still, shadows may linger, and not every imbalance is easily lifted. It is important to see this not as failure, but as part of being human. The architecture of mood is intricate. No single molecule writes the whole story. Yet serotonin's presence or absence is a reminder of how fragile and how precious balance can be. As you rest with these thoughts, imagine again the river. Sometimes it is wide, flowing steadily, nourishing every shore. Sometimes it narrows, leaving cracks in the earth. But rivers are not fixed. They change with rain, with season, with time. So too can your inner river shift, deepening again with care, with patience, with light. And when balance is restored, the shadows soften. Calm returns, not as a sudden burst, but as a slow glow rising through the mind. The story of serotonin does not end in imbalance, for just as darkness is shaped by the absence of light, serotonin's story turns again toward brightness, toward the rhythm of days, the warmth of sun, and the gentle cycle of sleep. When shadows grow long, they remind you of light, and so serotonin's story now turns to its dance with sunlight, with sleep, and with the rhythms that carry you gently from day into night. The dance of serotonin is not confined to the shadows of your gut or the circuits of your mind. It is also carried by rhythm, the daily cycle of light and dark, waking and sleeping, movement and stillness. Like a tide drawn by the moon, your serotonin rises and falls in harmony with the world around you. Each morning, as sunlight touches your skin, a message is sent. Light passes through your eyes, striking the retina, where cells awaken and signal the brain. This signal reaches the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your body's master clock. Here, rhythms are set and serotonin is stirred, reminding your body that the day has begun. This is why morning light feels so different from the glow of a lamp. Sunlight is broad, full, rich with the spectrum your body has evolved to read. It is a gentle conductor, lifting serotonin so that wakefulness, mood, and focus rise together. A walk in the morning sun does not simply clear the mind. It feeds this ancient rhythm, tuning chemistry to the daylight. As day passes, serotonin continues its steady presence. It shapes appetite, steadies mood, and guides thought. But as evening falls, its role begins to shift. In the darkness, serotonin becomes the seed of another messenger, melatonin. Enzymes transform it quietly, and this transformation ushers the body into night. Your eyelids grow heavy, your breath slows, and the cycle of sleep begins. Sleep itself deepens serotonin's story. During certain stages of rest, the brain adjusts receptors and pathways, recalibrating how sensitive you are to serotonin. In this way, each night is not just rest, but repair, preparing you to meet the next day's rhythm. If sleep falters, serotonin's balance falters too, leaving mood unsteady, focus blurred, appetite confused. The connection between sunlight, serotonin, and sleep is like a circle, endlessly turning. Light raises serotonin by day. Serotonin becomes melatonin by night. Sleep restores the balance that prepares you to wake again. You are woven into this cycle, whether or not you notice it. Think of it like a dance performed with the world itself. The sun leads, your body follows. Each step, light, serotonin, melatonin, sleep, is timed to a rhythm older than memory. When you align with it, there is ease, a natural flow. When you resist, staying too long in darkness, ignoring rest, the rhythm grows harder to hear and the dance stumbles. Yet even the smallest gestures can restore it. A moment in fresh air, a mindful pause before bed, the steady pattern of breath as you lie still. Each of these signals reminds your body where it belongs in the cycle, and serotonin responds, adjusting gently. There is comfort in knowing this dance is not fragile, but resilient. Even after days of imbalance, the rhythm waits for you. Step outside at dawn, and your body remembers. Close your eyes in the quiet of night, and the transformation begins again. The cycle forgives, renews, continues. As you rest now, picture serotonin not as a single molecule, but as a dancer in a circle of light. In morning, it rises with the sun, filling you with wakeful ease. In evening, it bows, becoming melatonin, guiding you into dreams. And in sleep, it repairs itself, ready to rise again. This is the poetry of your biology. Food turned into chemistry, chemistry tuned by light, light woven into rhythm, rhythm becoming feeling. You're not separate from this flow. You are its expression, a living being whose emotions, thoughts, and dreams are carried on the quiet steps of this dance. The story of serotonin is the story of balance, of rivers and symphonies, of shadow and light. It reminds you that the smallest elements of your body are connected to the vast patterns of the world, and it invites you to rest, knowing that within you the dance continues, steady and sure. As you drift into sleep, remember this: the same light that lifts you by day becomes the same darkness that restores you by night. And in that endless rhythm, serotonin moves quietly, the gentle messenger, carrying you from one breath to the next. There is a quiet story flowing through you, from the smallest molecules to the vast rhythm of your days. Serotonin has been your guide, a messenger born in darkness, carried by light, speaking through your gut, tuning your mind, shaping your rest. It is easy to forget how much of you is unseen. Thoughts feel like your own creations, yet beneath them lies chemistry. Rivers of molecules, circuits humming, conversations between organs. Serotonin is one of these rivers. It does not speak in words, yet it whispers through mood, calm, sleep, and the gentle balance of your emotions. In this journey, you have followed it from its birth in tryptophan to its dance with light and shadow. You have seen how it steadies the architecture of the mind, how it falters in imbalance, how it returns through connection, movement, food, and sunlight. Serotonin is not the only voice within you, but it is a steady one, a quiet hand smoothing the edges of thought. As you breathe now, you may feel gratitude for this hidden flow. Each breath, each meal, each ray of sun contributes to its song. And in listening, you come closer to yourself. Not just the thinker of thoughts, but the whole being, body and mind interwoven. The story of serotonin is not a lesson to memorize, but a reminder. You are part of a rhythm larger than yourself. Light and darkness, hunger and rest, connection and solitude, all are threads in the tapestry of your biology. You're not apart from nature. You are one with it, written in molecules, in signals, in cycles as old as the earth itself. And so, as you let go into sleep, trust this rhythm. The river continues to flow, the dance continues to turn, and serotonin moves quietly within you. Steady, patient, always carrying you toward balance, toward light, toward rest.